I just want to share with you something that God has placed on my heart and has really been teaching me, and I think that it can bless somebody else. Here lately, for the past few months, I've been really going through the fire, and a few months ago, I was praying about it, and I just was saying, God, I'm in the fire. I'm in the fire right now. Please, please, God, I'm in the fire. I need your help. And God, I knew it in my spirit, whatever, that God was saying, I am the potter. I said, yes, Lord, I know you're the potter. I know it. And I'm the clay and you're molding me and shaping me. But God, I'm in the fire. And God just spoke to my spirit, said, no, I am the potter. And it made me pause and stop and think, what does it really mean for God to be the potter and us to be the clay? And so Isaiah 64:8, it says that we're the clay and God is the potter. And so that's where that comes from. And I've heard this taught all my life, that we're the clay and God is molding us and shaping us because he's the potter. And that's what the potter does, is he molds and shapes. And that's true. But there's so much more to it than that. See, that's only one step in a whole process. See, the first step, though, is that the potter, he carves out a piece of clay and starts working it and beginning it to be prepared to be worked. Then that's when the potter forms the clay. And after the clay is formed into whatever he's designing, then he sets it out and lets it dry. And while it's being dried, it gets to like a leathery state, and it's kind of firm, and it's firm enough that the potter can then inscribe his mark. And then the potter puts it back out to dry. And so he's drying off all this free water from it and becomes bone dry. After it's bone dry, the potter then takes that dried clay, that bone dry clay, and puts it in the fire. And see, while it's in the fire, there's a few things that happen. Is although it's bone dry, there's still water that's bonded molecularly to the clay. And so that fire, it slowly heats up, slowly heating up that clay and drives off that water that's bonded to it. And that process cannot be undone. That change cannot be undone. And then as a fire gets hotter, that clay turns into ceramic. And there's a chemical and metaphysical change that happens that, again, it can't go back from. After it's fired, then the potter takes it and then paints on a glaze and adorns it with beauty. But the glaze is not finalized. It has to go back into an even hotter fire. So once it's in that hotter fire, that glaze, the minerals in that glaze, they turn into glass and they bond with the pottery. And so now that change is complete. And so some of you are in that first phase where God is tearing off parts and beginning to get you ready to be molded. Some of you are in that molding phase, and God is being that potter and molding you and shaping you into what he wants you to be. Some of you are in that first drying phase where you're leathery, you're starting to dry out, and he hasn't put his mark on you quite yet. Some of you, God has put that mark on, and you're dried out and you're getting bone dry. And you just feel dry. Some of you are like me. You're in the fire. There's a fire going on in your life, and you're in that fire. But God is making a permanent change in your life. Some of you are in that glazing phase where God is painting you and putting you back in that fire to adorn you and to make you beautiful. Some of you are in another phase. Some of you have been in that fire and you cracked. You think you're worthless. You think you're not useful anymore, but that's far, far from true. See, that cracked pottery is still useful to the potter. It can't be changed back. It can't go back to clay, but it is useful. The potter can take that fired ceramic, that cracked ceramic, and grind it down to a fine powder. And what he does is then he mixes it back with fresh clay and puts and reshapes it, remolds it. Now that is called grog, and that grog is already changed. It can't go back. It's not clay anymore. It can't be clay anymore. But with it being mixed with fresh clay, it makes that fresh clay even more resilient to the heat, even more resilient to cracking in the fire. So some of you are in that phase as well. Whatever phase you find yourself in, all you have to do though, if you think about it, every single one of those phases, all the clay had to do was allow the potter to work. So in your life, allow the potter to work. Trust that the potter knows what he's doing. Trust that God knows what he's doing, and he's going to work. I hope that blesses somebody.